Everybody's ready. We'll get started. Here we go. All right. Well, good evening, everybody. I'm coming to you from just north of Pittsburgh, out here in Western Pennsylvania. And tonight we're going to talk about the K3LR contest station. All right. So again, learn CW at a very early age is still my favorite mode, and I'm on CW every day. Still fascinated by the magic of Morse code. See a map?
Yep.
All right, great. So this is where K3LR is located, just 65 miles northwest of Pittsburgh, and right on the Ohio-Pennsylvania border. And there are a lot of videos and a lot of photos at the K3LR.com website. So it's www.k3lr.com. And you can click on the videos, you can click on contest photos. There's lots of my engineering work, etc. is up there. So basically 34 years of building this station is chronicled up on K3LR.com. And if you've ever driven by on Interstate 80, you may notice the 13 towers that are part of K3LR. Right on the southern side of Interstate 80, 1 mile off the Ohio border. And so it's very visible from Interstate 80. One reason that this QTH is so successful, there's a tremendous drop-off in terrain going towards Europe and Japan. Almost 300 feet of drop-off very, very quickly within 1 mile, and goes down to a riverbed. And those are two very key directions for working DX contests, DX contacts. And so that's really the magic here at K3LR. This is showing some overhead shots of the 5-element array on 160, and we'll get more into that in a minute. In the middle of this photo are two 80-meter phased Foursquares. And so that's what you're seeing here in this photo. There's a Foursquare up here in the northwest area and a Foursquare down here in the southeast. And then this is broadside on Europe, so maximum radiation going towards Europe. And so two Foursquares are in phase. And then we have,
if I get a chance.
We need some mics muted if possible.
Everybody mute, please.
And then this is the tall 40-meter tower. In the middle are 4 high stack on 15 meters, 4 high stack on 10 meters, and then a large 20-meter tower. And we'll get more into that in a minute. This is the 40-meter tower. These are 3 full-size 4-element Yagis. The reflectors are 75 feet long, and they weigh 415 pounds each on 50-foot booms. Very, very large antennas. This is the largest 40-meter antenna system in the world. And antennas also here on 20 meters and also on 10 meters on this one Pyrod tower. And beautiful, and you can see a little bit of the scale of just how large these antennas are. And some 10-meter beams down here as well for the second station on 10. There are 11 operating positions, and I'm not sitting in front of a green screen. This is actually the 80-meter positions. And in the middle of this tower at 160 feet is a receiving antenna for 160 meters. It's known as a horizontal Waller flag. This is actually a rectangle of wire supported by fiberglass and another rectangle of wire. And then these 2 rectangles are put in phase for a directive antenna. And by using the ring rotator here, we can rotate this around the face of the tower. And that is sometimes the best antenna on 160 meters. And looking up at the 40-meter tower with all of the antennas that are mounted on it, the 20-meter tower has 4 of these 6-element Yagis on it. These are on 50-foot booms. This is a dipole for 80 meters at 245 feet. We use that for the second station on 80 meters. And there are 4 of these 6-element 20s mounted on the tower. And in the middle are 2-element Moxons for 40 meters. And this are used by the 40-meter second station. The Moxons are about 46 feet long on the elements, so quite a bit shorter than the full-size OWAs that we have on the run station, but very, very effective antennas. And looking up at the 20-meter tower, again, very busy, lots going on here. And for 10 meters, there are 4 8-element Yagis for the run station. On 15, 4 7-element Yagis. These are all Pyrod towers. And on top of the top 15-meter Yagi is a 10-element 6-meter Yagi. And you notice that all these antennas have the same characteristic where the first director is very close to the driven element. That's known as the optimized wideband array, or OWA, which was invented at Penn State University, where I'm a graduate of, by Dr. James Brakehall, WA3FET. This causes the feed point impedance to go to 50 ohms, and it stays at 50 ohms across the entire band. Several years ago, we had an unfortunate experience where a drunk driver got off the road and hurt one of the guy anchors on the 20-meter tower. So we actually had to replace the 20-meter tower with new tower. This is the old tower here. You can see that the paint is faded and the new tower is here, and brought in a big crane and replaced the tower. This is the new tower going up. You can see the ring rotators here for the Yagis that will be mounted on. At the top is the DX Engineering thrust bearing, the TB400, and you can see just how strong these Pyrod towers are. This is solid steel, it's not pipe. And so this is the top plate ready to go for the mast. And here you see the 2 out of the 4 6-element 20-meter Yagis. Again, first director very close to the driven element. And here's the top 6-element 20 going into place with the crane, going up the tower, and then the tower crew hooking things up at the top of the tower. Here you can see the steps that allow us to climb up to the 80-meter dipole to do any maintenance work. And we're able to see the Rig Expert AA54 from the top of the tower using FaceTime, and the SWR looks great. Now we're shifting to the 4-element OWA Yagis on 40 meters, and the feed point is just a simple dipole feed here in the middle, and the red tape signifies where the center conductor goes. Right on red. Here you can see that first director very close to the driven element, and you can see the sag of these long heavy elements too, but actually this is not bad at all. About 30 inches of sag in this 75-foot long element. And 2 years ago, we replaced all the 40-meter Yagis with brand new designs and new aluminum. And here's the top 4-element 40 going into place with the big crane again. I like these geochrons in the shack. There are 4 of them here. And this is on 84-inch Ultra OLED TV that is dedicated to the geochron, showing where the sun is, the sunrise and sunset as they occur during the day. We use very large heliacs here. This is old cellular takedowns, but 1 5/8" on 10 and 15 meters. And the directive array for 160 meters, this is a 120-foot tower, a Pyrod tower, and around it are 4 T elements made of wire. And these wires are cut as directors. And if you don't connect these director wires to anything, they are out of the picture. So you have an omnidirectional pattern that occurs. If we take this right-hand yellow element and ground it, it becomes a director. The left-hand yellow element, we're going to connect it to a small inductor and connect it to ground, and that becomes a reflector. And then we'll float the 2 blue elements. And so you have a 3-element vertical parasitic Yagi, a reflector, the driven element tower, and the director. And that gives you 5 dB of gain off the front and about 30 dB of front to back. And this is the bottom of one of the T-wires showing the extensive radial system and the driven element pi rod tower with 300 radials underneath it. It's a long way from the shack, so we use 1 5/8" cable for that. The 80-meter verticals, there's 8 of them, the 2 Foursquares, and this is the broadcast style ground system, all silver soldered in, 120 radials that are a quarter wavelength long. And then we have the center 4 towers that are part of the Foursquares. These 2 belong to the northwest Foursquare. These 2 belong to the southeast Foursquare. Taking a look at the extensive grounding and bonding. And we just recently replaced the old high towers that we were using with new aluminum towers that are all welded together. So these are 60-foot universal towers and made out of aluminum. And then we put them in place, and we use the top 2-inch pieces. We call these stingers, to actually tune these perfectly to the same frequency. And here you can see the custom DX Engineering insulators and the 80-meter verticals here at K3LR. Showing the 80-meter verticals, the Foursquares, and this is some of the equipment that it takes to line these things up, make sure they work perfect. We're using the Comtech Systems Foursquare Hybrid Box, and this allows us to electrically rotate those 4 verticals. You see there's 4 verticals here, electrically rotate them in 4 different directions, and then we have a combiner box to combine the 2 Foursquares together. Foursquare on 20 meters for the second station, 1 on 15 meters. And for listening on 80 and 160, we use the high Z 8 circle with 113-foot diagonal spacing. In the center, you can see these 23-foot verticals here, and there are 8 of them in the circle. And then here's the center box that has all the electronics to do the direction switching, and chokes to make sure that the feed lines stay cold. And my friend W3YQ, who I met on 80 meters when I was 12 years old, and we've been best friends ever since, almost 50 years now. And hooking all the RG6 up and all of the connecting cables. This is the base of one of these 23-foot verticals, 2 ground rods, that's all the ground system it takes. And then inside the control box is a buffer amplifier and 2 chokes, 1 for the power, 1 for the signal line. Here are all of the buffer amplifiers. We also have a Foursquare, the 8 circle, and inside the choke boxes is 26 turns of small 75 ohm coax on a number 31 ferrite toroid. The house at K3LR, fully restored period home, built in the Civil War, 1865, and has got everything has been added to it, like running water, electricity, natural gas, etc. This is our power. It's a 50 kilowatt transformer from the Pennsylvania Power Company. If that fails, we have a 50 kW Kohler generator, natural gas, 8-cylinder Chevy engine, and it takes 7 seconds to come online should we lose power. This is the shack at K3LR, showing the 11 operating positions. And you can see here that there's 2 on the left-hand side for 80 meters, and 160 meters is against the wall with the other manual geochron. And here's the coax lines coming into the shack. There's 2 areas. All the coax is buried underground, and ground rods right underneath the operating positions. You can see the CAD weld on the top of this one ground rod using number 2 solid tin copper. Here are some of the operators having fun at K3LR during a CW contest and now an SSB contest, and the bands are getting better. Again, 2 operators on every band except for 160 meters. The idea is that the run operator on the left side calls CQ, while the mult operator on the right side goes and finds stations that are calling CQ. This is the 10-meter mult position showing the 4 rotor boxes for the 4 antennas, switch, single band amplifiers. We have custom designed switches. This is for the 40 meter stack that is 260 over 190 over 120. And right now we're feeding all three of them. So 1/3 of the power is going to each one. And then there's an impedance matching transformer that takes care of bringing everything back to 50 ohms. 15, we talked about the 4 high stack there. And here's 15 meters on CW. The two operators having to work together because only one transmitter can be on the air at a time. There is a lockout box to make absolutely sure that we do not violate that rule. And so they're currently feeding the bottom 3 antennas known as bot 3. And they also have a heads up display that lets them know they're feeding the 120 footer, 80 footer, and 40 footer. And I like the Drake W4 watt meters, but we wore out the SO239, so we had to put new ones on. And here's the rotor stack for the 3 high 40, and size does matter. This is a magical antenna system. It works very well. This is one of the single band amplifiers here. Very easy to make. A single 8877 runs 1500 watts output all day and all night. No band switch means it's very easy to construct, and each one of them has their own 4,000 volt power supply. And this is the 20 run position, and the 2 20 meter positions, the run on the right, the mult on the left, 2 different antenna systems, logging computers, 2 different amplifiers, again with a lockout box. And the 2 positions on 10 meters and 160 meters has lots of hardware here, lots of receiving antennas. And I do the 160 meter CW operations during the CWDX contest. And John N2NC from New Jersey drives out and does the phone selections on our DX contests that we operate on SSB. And here are the DX Engineering noise canceling controller, also the control of the HWF, the horizontal Waller flag. And we use the Bose QC15 noise canceling headsets. Really, really good, very important because there's lots of noise going on. We use the ICOM IC7851 radio, an outstanding radio, extremely reliable, best in class performance. And so they work very well. Here's my friend Al, N5UM from Oklahoma City. And Al taking a little power nap at 4:15 in the morning, getting ready for the JAs to appear. On the right-hand side, you can see the NUC computer that is part of it, that is what all the logging computers are here. Intel NUC, N-U-C. And it's 4 inches by 4 inches by 1.5 inches thick, full Windows, solid state hard drive, audio card, everything in it. Runs on 12 volts and it works great. Another shot of a NUC on the back of the monitor. Very space saving. To share the 2 Foursquares between the 2 80 meter stations, we have a custom designed 80 meter XL twin turbo +2 from W8WWB that allows seamless switching between the 2 positions. We also have high power harmonic filters. You know how hard it is to make a field day operation work with 100 watts. Think about 1,500 watts and very high gain antennas. So we do have aggressive filtering here at K3LR. When the operators aren't operating, they're hanging out at the DX barn. And so this is very comfortable restrooms and shower, and also sleeping for 8 upstairs. And so it's quite nice. Also in the back there, you can see the 125,000 QSL cards that need to be sorted someday. And operators operating, here they are on 20 meters. Andy N2NT from Dayton, New Jersey, and John VE3NEJ from Toronto, Ontario. And John K1AR from New Hampshire. And Dave KM3T taking a little break. He's also from New Hampshire. We have operators that come from all over the world to operate here. With DX Engineering foot switch, indestructible, part of our operation here for many, many years. The lockout box for the run and mult stations here. And you can see this little gray box tells the mult operator what the status of the run station is. If the light is out, then he can transmit. If the light is on, that means he will be locked out. 20 Malt has a little different antenna control box. This is, he's got a stack 150 feet over 100 feet. And if he's got BIP in there, that's both in phase. BOP is both out of phase. He also has control of the Foursquare, and you can see the azimuth selections of the Foursquare. And guys having fun. Otis NP4G from Puerto Rico, who comes here in March to operate, and having fun with George N3GJ, and Phil K3UA from Pittsburgh, and Justin G4TSH from London, England, in the CQ Worldwide CW contest. And so here you can see just about every one of the operating positions is filled up. The 40-meter guys are on the left-hand side, 80 meters on the middle table, and then we go around the room, 20 meters, 10 meters, 15 meters, and then 160 meters just by the door. I'm very interested in helping youth, and we had Team Exuberance here for the WPX contest in 2019. This is Bryant, KG5HVO from Alabama, and also Violetta, KM4ATT. They're on the 20-meter run station, and VE7DZO and K6JO on the 40-meter station. And here they are filling out thank you cards. They raised over $5,000 to offset the expenses to fly to K3LR. And this was a multinational team, HA8RT from Hungary, and Marty NN1C from New England. So 6 youth operators. They did all of the operating. They made all the contacts in a 48-hour event, multi-2. They had set a goal of 3,700 QSOs. And all I did, and so several of the other parents, was make sure that they had enough to eat and that they would, you know, do some sleeping. At the end of the contest, these 6 youth operators that had never operated together worked over 6,000 contacts. They were #1 in the US, #1 in North America, and #4 in the world in the multi-2 category. So Team Exuberance achieved, and they are coming back to do CW. All these kids are great CW operators. Remember, they didn't have to learn CW to get a license, but they've all learned it because they think it's cool. And so it's going to be a very fun operation to have them back. We also participate in the K2M as the 13 Colonies event. Here's young Michael, W3MLJ, with his grandfather, having fun K2M at K3LR. We have friends that visit from all over the world. Here's an operator from Finland visiting K3LR, as well as Riley, K4ZDH, formerly of the FCC, and a big D expeditioner, Hal, W8HC, visiting K3LR. Analytics is part of what we do here at K3LR. We keep track of our high watermarks for QSOs and multipliers on every contest, on every band. And we also have CW skimmer running here. This used to be the CW skimmer rack. It is now taken over by the Nucks. And so we've replaced all this hardware with these guys right here. And these are the 6 Perseus SDR receivers that do the CW skimming, and we contribute to the reverse beacon network. And lots of RFI prevention here, using lots of ferrite, power distribution, linear power supplies. There are no wall warts here at K3LR, absolutely none. No iPhone chargers, no nothing. And the noise floor is dead quiet because I have worked very hard to solve all the noise issues. We make coffee 1 cup at a time. This is the snack area for a contest. And we have a chef, Chef Sal, WM2H, formerly of New Jersey, now of Houston, Texas. He takes care of making sure we are well fed and for a weekend event. And N2NC makes the breakfasts on phone, and I take care of them on CW. So we do share cooking responsibilities here. The operators eat as they contest. And we use WinTest as our logging software, very popular in Europe, adopted here in 2006, extremely stable. And this is what we use to keep track of our score. keep track of the log. And I'm a voracious QSLer. Send about 50 pounds a year to the ARRL Outgoing Bureau. I like t-shirts as well. At the end of each contest, we report our scores with other multi-op stations on 3830. And sometimes we win a plaque. We do operate in the RTTY contests. And this is what a typical crew looks like for a given weekend. And Sal brought his girlfriend Olivia with him, and they both shared the cooking duties, but it takes 12 to 14 operators for a 48-hour event. And good looking CW team here, and another great looking CW team from all over the world, operators from London, from Ontario, from Florida, California. And the real reason we do it, we're best friends. And that's really important. We all get along very well. One of the things I'm most proud of is the fact that we'll do 15 to 20 tours here at K3LR every year. And we have, this was the University of Pittsburgh, Pitt Panther Amateur Radio Club. They drove up from Pittsburgh. We have had clubs come from as far away as 5 hours driving time, but they came, typically clubs come up for a whole day. We do a tour, we sit around and talk, and just have a good time. And for the University of Pittsburgh students, we talked about studying hard, life after college, ham radio, and everything else in between. So very, very proud of that. And so in less than 33 minutes, we did in 32 tonight. So, and we didn't skip anything. And that is my presentation. And I am available for any questions you might have.
Fantastic, thank you.
Outstanding.
How does one get an invitation to heaven?
Well, yeah, here's how that works. Operators that are currently here operating on the team have the right of first refusal. Typically, they come back. It's very, very, very rare that they don't come back. And the other thing is that the guys that operate here have extensive contest resumes. They're not just on the air for these 4 or 6 DX contests. They're on the air almost every weekend working a contest from somewhere. And so they're really good. And so that's basically how it works. Other questions?
You were saying that your sound floor was low. How low?
How low is the noise floor? It's S0.
Holy crap.
Long way to go, Joe.
It's those Walmarts.
What do you attribute that to, Tim?
Well, press is not just one thing. It's a lot of things. It is no wall warts. It is working very hard with the power company. It's working with neighbors that might have chargers or wall warts or LED lights. So it's a combination of all of those things. Any other questions or comments?
Tim, any idea the estimated value of your antenna farm and equipment? Any idea?
I have no idea.
Very impressive.
That's done on purpose.
Yeah. Yes.
So that I can be truthful.
Thank you, Tim.
It's a lot to take in 30 minutes.
It is. But maybe you guys need to put together the East Coast Reflector bus and come on out here for a weekend. And you guys can operate.
Oh, hell yeah.
There we go.
Tim, has the NSA or NASA showed up on your doorstep yet?
No, but I think the neighbors are convinced that I either work for NASA or NSA or the CIA.
Yeah.
Since you run all that equipment, I'm assuming your power bill is pretty high.
Well, that is a good point. You know, the two tall towers are lit. You know, they have dual 700-watt beacons in them. So just with, you know, lighting the towers, that's a couple $100 a month for doing that. A typical contest, you know, 48-hour contest costs about $200 in electricity. I mean, where can you go with your friends for 48 hours and just spend $200 and have this much fun?
Right.
Okay. You got a good operation going.
Thank you.
What do you have on the way of a maintenance crew? Looks like it's a 24/7 job.
You're right. It is because there's over 50 antennas here. It is and 26 rotators. There, you know, it is a big maintenance job, and so we do have a tower crew that is here 3 days a week, and we have a list of projects. You know, we're continuing to get better. We always want to improve.
Have you ever had any close calls or actual destruction from weather?
Yeah, I think the closest thing, Press, would be that we were operating field day, and you know, at 1:30 in the morning, that pickup truck hit one of the guy anchors. It's really been the only, and that didn't bring down the tower. It just, you know, it bent things. So that's really been the biggest thing. Never have had, you know, I'm very careful in engineering these antennas, so we don't have antennas that fall apart and fall down and things like that. So everything is very well engineered, and I'm very careful, very safety conscious, and so yeah, that's.
You can tell. There's a lot of guide wires, and it looks very, very professional.
Well, thank you. The guy wires are all Philly strand, so they're all non-conductive guy wires, and you know, with the maintenance program that we have here, we really keep after anything that would wear out. We get ahead of the curve. We don't wait for something bad to happen.
Would you have a rogue truck out in the field or something hitting the guide wire?
Yeah, it was actually a teenager that went to a graduation party and celebrated a little too much, and he got off the road.
All right. I thought that's crazy.
And you would have done in your youth, Roger.
Say what?
Something you would have done in your youth.
Oh, me, no.
Anything else, guys, before I go to my next club meeting?
Once again,
Thanks,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
How
That's
many of these
great.
meetings? How many of these meetings do you do?
Some nights I do 3 of them. Most weeks we're doing between 9 and 12 meetings. This has just been a great way to connect with so many of our customers and future customers. And I gotta say, all of the gift card things here tonight, I took a photo of it because you know, the sales team is not going to believe believe this.
We thought we'd surprise you with that.
Well, Dick, you blew me away. So thank you so much for that. And to all of you that are DX Engineering customers, thank you so much for your business. And I hope we're taking good care of you. And if we're not, which is highly unlikely, but if we're not, you know how to get a hold of the CEO. And number 2, if you're not a DX Engineering customer yet, give us a shot, give us a try, because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised how well it goes. We have.
I was a little bit late and I didn't get a card. Where do I get them?
Well, before 7:30, everybody got $100.
Just my luck, I guess.
Snooze, you lose.
Well,
But
I'd like to pipe in and say, Tim, thank you again. We were extraordinarily lucky to grab a couple of openings. When I approached Tim and his staff. I mean, gosh, he's booked into 2022 at this point. So we really got lucky, and we'll put our hat in the ring for the next opening as well, because we'd love to have you back, Tim. Thank you.
Well, thanks again, Press, and I'd love to come back. We've got a lot of topics that we can talk about and have fun with. So thanks to you and Dick and everybody here at the club.
Thanks again, Tim.
Yep,
Be
thank you
safe.
very much.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Everybody say Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.